Hi everyone, I'm Zach Parmiter with Golden Eagle Log and Timber Homes, and I'm here today with my dad Todd Parmiter. He is co-owner of Golden Eagle. I was telling my dad that as I travel the country to log and timber home shows, I'm often meeting with a lot of people who are looking to learn about log and timber home companies, and they're not really sure which questions to ask. My dad, he's got a lifetime of experience, and he immediately came up with a lot of really good questions, some good examples that he thinks people should be asking, whether they're traveling to see these companies at a log and timber home show or in person at their facility or even over the phone. So Dad, will you share with us today some of the questions that came across your mind?
Well, I think you want to find out if they build where you're going to build. Good example is we're doing a show maybe in Chantilly, Virginia, and it seems like at that show in particular, a lot of the people want to build out west, Colorado, Wyoming, things like that. And I've noticed at the Chantilly show, quite a few of the companies there just build out east. They don't build out west. So I look at it as when a customer's at a show, their time is very valuable. They're going to take maybe 3 hours, 4 hours at the show, and they're going to try to visit 20, 30 booths. So if that company doesn't build where you need it built, I'd say just move on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, of course, building changes, construction changes quite a bit throughout the country. You have different soil conditions, different land types. If you're going to be building on the edge of a mountain or on a lake or a narrow lake lot, all of that. But also, most importantly, quality subcontractors.
Yep.
That's always important. So when you have a history of building there, you know who the good subcontractors are and all those really good resources.
Mm-hmm.
What's another good question that someone should ask?
Do they sell what you like? Look at their photographs. Hopefully you went online beforehand. If nothing appeals to you, or if you have your heart set on like a full log home or a timber frame home and they happen to not sell that, there again, your showtime is so important. I'd say just move on.
When you're looking at the interior photos of the home, you might want to confirm that they're actually providing those interior materials.
Yeah.
Because not every company is like Golden Eagle, where we have a complete materials package. And when they look at our photos, we can actually tell them that we provided those interior finishes.
That's right. Yep.
And that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, what's the next question?
Well, a really big piece of the puzzle are your plans, okay? You want to have somebody that you can work with, design your home, so it turns out the way you want it, and hopefully take your ideas and make them even better. Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the things you're going to want to find out is if the company draws plans, and I think most of them do, but is it somebody on staff that you're going to work with, or are they using a third-party vendor to provide the plans? Because I think you're going to want to work directly with the person that's working on your home plan, so that what you communicate actually gets done and not, lost.
And that makes a lot of sense. And you want to work with a design and engineering team that has a lot of experience as well.
Yeah.
You don't want them experimenting on your home. You want them to be able to take their collective experience and contribute that to your design, your project. You're building this once. You want to make sure that when you're sitting on your couch in 10 years that you don't have any regrets or that you don't wonder, why did they design it this way?
One more thought on that. I think it's fair to ask how much the plans are going to cost. And then everybody needs to make changes. After they see it on paper, they're going to want to move a door, move a window, make something bigger, make something smaller. How much are they going to charge you for those changes? Some companies include changes for free. Other companies charge you by the hour. So, that's a good question to ask. It's a fair question.
And then with those changes, I think it's also important to ask for feedback, options. So when I take a client's plans into design, I want options for other layouts, other considerations. That's how you get a really great floor plan, is getting that feedback.
And one more thing on the plans before we move forward. Is the company going to be able to provide you with buildable plans? Some companies just provide like sales plans, something that everybody can kind of see and we can get a price on, but is it a good enough plan that they can go to the building inspector and pull a permit? So it's just a good question.
They call it the basic five in the industry, or those study plans. Those are often good enough for getting good estimates from builders and subcontractors. Right. From us here at Golden Eagle, we can get you a fine price on, down to the penny on how much a materials package will cost. But comparing that to our buildable plans, they're worlds apart.
Yeah. Thought I was done, but there's one more thing too. will that company do your engineering for you, your code compliant engineering? Because you want to make sure that the package you're buying meets the snow load or the wind load of where you're going to build the house. Some companies just put that in their package to you, it's just included. Other companies charge extra. Other companies might have a third party that does that on the side. Still others might say, well, you're on your own there, you need to hire a professional engineer to figure that out. So it's just a good question to ask.
That really is, and that kind of leads back to your first point of, do they build in your area?
Yeah.
Because they might be eager to sell you a package, but do they really have that experience? Are they going to know the conditions? With us, the first thing we do when we start drawing plans is we call the local building inspector, and we look into the codes of the area. We're going to assume that you're actually building that house with us, and we want to make sure we're designing plans that are actually going to work from the beginning.
Right.
I think that's really important. Well, wonderful. Well, what's next?
If you think you like that company and you think you want to deal with them, I really think you should visit their headquarters. Okay, you want to make sure they're more than just an e-store or a website. I think you should meet the owners. I think you should meet the key people. I think you should meet the people that are going to design and engineer your home, and make sure you click and connect with them.
You want to make sure that they have a really good history, right? You want to look into them. You want to look into their background. You want to make sure that that company is here to stay in the long run, because you probably plan to stay in that house for quite a period of time. And for a lot of our clients, we have files back to the 60s of homes that we were building a long time ago. I mean, Grandpa was always really good at keeping track of all of that, and we've always had a really good history of making sure that we have good documentation of everything. And how that's come in handy, I remember when I used to work in customer service, we'd have someone call up 30 years later, and if a storm came through their area and they needed to replace some shingles, we knew exactly what color shingles that they had. And so that's really nice. We're always here to be a good resource, even in the future.
That's right.
What's another good question that someone should ask?
Well, there's probably no two log home packages exactly the same. Okay, so there might be two companies that each say they sell a complete package, or 10 companies that sell a shell package. You have to kind of dig in and figure out what you're really getting. Of course, there's companies that just sell logs too, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there again, the customer needs to know that. And if they're just selling the logs, is it the logs only for the walls? Or is it the logs for the roof and the maybe across the great room? Are those included? How about porch posts? So you have to ask questions. So I've kind of found one of the best ways to discern what's not in a package is to have them give you a list of what's not in the package. And that's something we've been doing for years because we want to sleep well at night. So not only can we tell you what comes in the package, but we can tell you what's missing, and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also want to know what makes it a complete package for you at your company versus another company, because both might be saying complete package, but it might mean two different things.
Yeah.
You see that a lot with the shell package. That's why we call ours a shell plus, because our shell package is beyond what most people are doing for a shell package.
That's right.
And then same thing with our complete materials package. When I do travel the log and timber shows, all the companies there do know Golden Eagle for being the most inclusive complete materials package. But I think a lot of that has to do with our history and our origins of being a materials provider, and we don't need to get into that here today. But it's really special what we do here at Golden Eagle, and I think that it's interesting for me that when I look at the cabinetry that we provide and all the incredible design work that we do, that we are automatically assuming solid wood construction drawers, dovetail drawers, soft close. We're doing all of this. So when you're looking at a materials list or a list of what's included in that package, don't just look at it and see cabinetry. I want to know what kind of quality cabinetry. You want to make sure you are comparing apples to apples.
Right.
Well, good. Well, what's next?
If it's a log home or a timber frame type home, are their timbers and logs grade stamped? Okay. Now what that means is somebody's actually looking at each piece and stamping the quality of the log on that piece. Now that's real important for a couple reasons, but perhaps the most important reason, if the building inspector, at least in most areas, finds out that the logs or the timbers are not stamped for quality, they usually won't let you pull a permit. So if you end up with a a log kit or a timber kit that's not stamped, then you're probably going to have to try to find somebody that will stamp those for you. And then what happens if the grade isn't right for that house? Then you're kind of stuck. But most companies will offer a grade stamped log. And I think that's what you're looking for. So pay attention to that. You know, if your uncle owns a sawmill and he's a weekend warrior, he might think he's doing you a favor and you might think you're getting a good deal, but it might not work out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also important to have graded and stamped logs for particularly headers over doors and windows.
Yeah, there's things we look for to make sure that, let's say there's a 9-foot wide patio door. You're not going to be able to have a big knot or a cluster of knots or certain types of checking in that wood. So our graders know that. And I don't know if we mentioned this, we're third-party inspected too. So randomly throughout the year, we get surprise visits from TPI, and they inspect our logs to make sure that we're stamping them correctly. And we've actually got it set up where this is all volunteer. We don't have to do this. This is to keep us honest and to keep our guys on their toes. But we've actually got it set up where if we violate, let's say 2 months in a row, we have to pay them a fine. So some people look at that as a little crazy. You're paying somebody else a fine for something. It's your idea, you know. But I think it keeps us honest and keeps us paying attention to what we're doing.
Yeah. What's another good question that someone should ask?
Well, I think it's a good question to find out if the wood you're looking to buy is dried. A lot of people talk about kiln drying, and kiln drying is, it's a way to make sure your wood is dry. And then there's what they call partially air-dried wood. And kind of the joke in the old sawmill industry used to be that the second the logs were cut, they were starting to be partially air-dried. But truth of the matter is, and everybody focuses on settling. With a real dry log, your logs, frankly, are going to settle hardly anything. And with the systems we have today, it will never be a problem. If your log is fresh cut, and some people refer to that as green, it's gonna settle more. And a lot of companies have that thought out to where it won't be a problem. But to me, it's this basic. If you buy a wet log, you're not going to be able to stain that for probably 2 years. And if you want your home to be done in a reasonable amount of time, you want it to be done when the builder leaves, instead of you coming back in 2 years and staining your house on the inside and the outside to make it finished. I just think it's something you need to know what you're buying. You know, you'd hate to go into this thinking you're getting dry logs and then find out you're not.
Right. You can still have a high quality log home with a air dried log.
Yes, you can.
But also with a kiln dried log. The nice thing about kiln drying is you can stain it right away.
Yep.
And it really takes away any uncertainty that you're going to have settling or anything like that. Whereas if it's green, if it's just freshly cut, you need to make sure that you have systems in place, whether it's springs or tightening systems, so that you can basically compensate for that settling over time.
Yep.
And then when it's air dried, there's such a variability there, because how long has it been air dried? So that goes back to that joke that you were saying.
Yeah.
When Grandpa started the business back in the 60s, he was air drying his logs, but he would air dry them for at least 2 years. That brought that moisture content level down to the 30s. That's impressive. And then with kiln drying, we're able to break open the cells in the wood, bringing it down to 19%, the same as a 2x4 and a 2x6. That's what makes it so easy to stain it and really allows that stain to absorb in and perform to its optimal level.
That's right.
Well, wonderful. Well, any other good questions?
Well, if you're really warming up to a certain company or 2 or 3 certain companies, it would sure make sense if you would inquire about their payment terms. Some companies want as little as 10% down, and they'll start manufacturing your logs and your timbers and your home, putting it all together. Other companies may need 50% or more down. Now, especially if you're working with a lender, the lender's not going to want to pay the log home company until about 3 days before the first shipment ships. So if 6 weeks or 8 weeks or a year before that, that company needs 50% down, that could really, let's say, pinch your style.
Mm-hmm. So it's a difference between, let's say the package is $200,000. It's the difference between you, if you only have to give a 10% deposit of giving the provider 20 grand versus 100 grand.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
That is. That sure is. I suppose another thing to point out is certain packages are much easier to finance than others. So oftentimes a shell kit or just the exterior of the home, a bank is going to be a lot more hesitant on financing that as opposed to our complete materials package. They love it because they already know that the homeowner has picked out their interior doors, their cabinetry, all their faucets, all those fixtures. And it makes it predictable for that bank because then they actually know how much this home will cost at the end of the day.
Even though we sell Shell Plus packages, most of our sales are complete packages. And the people that buy a Shell Plus package generally are not seeking financing. They want to really take their time and pick things out as they go. And we're totally cool with that, but it is really hard to finance. So the complete package, yeah, that's key what you said.
Yeah, I see that being more of a do-it-yourselfer or someone that has been a builder for many years and he's looking to retire and kind of take a few years to actually finish the project.
Right.
This has been a great list so far. We are on number 10 of the top 10 questions you should ask when visiting a log and timber home company or giving them a call on the phone or seeing them at a log and timber home show. So what is your 10th and final question that you think someone should ask?
Well, I think everybody kind of knows this, but not everybody follows through. I really think that you should ask for references and you should call those references. Most past customers are pretty happy to answer a question like that because they did that too. And you want to make sure that the company you're about to sign with has happy customers and they're not practicing on your home.
A lot of our clients, they're very proud to talk about their experience and they're very proud of the home that they live in. So they're actually enthusiastic to receive those phone calls. And oftentimes when their home is done being built, they actually feel like they're a part of the Golden Eagle family. Mm-hmm. So they look forward to helping us and look forward to encouraging someone to join the process and get started on their dream home as well. Mm-hmm. Well, this has been a fantastic list of questions. Thanks for sharing it with all of us. I think it'll be a great resource for everyone that's researching a log and timber home company.
Well, it was fun for me too. Thank you.
Please leave your comments below. We'd like to hear your feedback. And also, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thanks for watching.